We're launching a new segment, part of Heavy or Not and the Heavy or Not community. It's called, do you like the music? CYA, as in C for cover, Y as for your, and A as for donkey. Some of us have been there, running a camp overseas, guest coaching at an international meet, Zoom coaching an athlete across a border. You think your insurance has you covered, but what if that coverage drags you into a courtroom you didn't see coming? Hey, consider global coverage. We're working with international players and audiences with ISCA and WAFSU. Well, let's listen.
This is a territorial policy, worldwide policy. You can operate around the world, but if the claim occurs worldwide, the suit must be brought against you in Canada. And that's not unlike a lot of coverages in the world. You have coverage to respond to events worldwide. Should you be traveling and you have a bad day, but the suits, as a Canadian citizen, the suit will be brought back in Canada. They're not going to suit you in a court, in a court that has no jurisdiction over you. The base policy gives you $2 million, but you can buy up to $5 million. It's not uncommon. $5 million is being bought up these days, mainly because of contractual obligations.
Jet setting might sound glamorous, but there are liabilities, and matters might land you right back in your own backyard. Contracts are going for $5 million for a reason. Many sleep easy thinking that waivers are illegal armor. But waivers aren't bulletproof, not anymore. In this clip, we hear how a recreational soccer match turned into a $100,000 lawsuit, even with signed waivers. Real cases, real rulings. It's a wake-up call that could save your program.
25 years ago, waivers were not worth the paper they were on. They quickly changed. We're starting to see, though, wrinkles occur in the different ways provinces are looking at them. There's a couple case laws that are important, one in Ontario and one in British Columbia, on how the courts are looking at inherent risks of an activity with signed waivers. In the BC, it involved a soccer game in North Vancouver, and it involved the athlete, someone tackled them and broke their legs. This is the case, if you care, is Miller versus Cox. And a recreational soccer player was liable for more than $100,000 for the dangers of recklessness of a slide tackle. Okay, so in the end, the waivers were signed, but the courts still assumed liability based on a reckless behavior. The Ontario courts, in a case called Levita and Crew, the Ontario Supreme Court found that a hockey player was not liable for a body check from behind, which caused the plaintiff to break bones in the legs. The court found that the defendant had acted clearly, over-aggressively, but did not act maliciously or out of the ordinary and beyond the bounds of fair and expected play. So the practical results in the view of the province means quite simply that an insured hockey player in British Columbia faces a much less substantial burden of proof of an actionable injury than does a similar player in the provinces. So it's just interesting. I mean, I guess, Ontario, it's a little bit of a higher bar than in BC. The courts are not going to seem very, very sympathetic to someone who, and I should also point, both of these cases involve someone maliciously trying to hurt somebody, effectively.
So waivers are not a get-out-of-jail-free card. But coaches that rely on digital signatures to hold up that, keep listening.
If you have sent the waiver out digitally ahead of time, I would start your online training with another, brief comment that you remember you signed it, whether you put a slide up before, which has the waiver again. Everyone signed this. Again, back to that couple slides ago, you don't want the plaintiff to say they didn't see it, they didn't understand it. And the more time and places that this is evident, then it's only going to help. What makes a really rock hard legal waiver? And making sure that the plaintiff does view it and does understand it, right? Because if you're sending them out digitally and having them sign it, there's so much room for subjective argument that, they didn't understand it. No one explained it. And it was messed in with about 400 forms. So, using bold, capitalized, and highlighted language is very, very key. And when I'm reading these and when we're reviewing these, think about the ski hill for those skiers, right? It's bold, different capitalizations, different fonts, different colors. Initialing boxes. It just can't be a signature at the bottom. Every clause, without the release of liability, what's the inherent risks? And specifically say those inherent risks, adding to specific examples of risk based on your activities is very, very important.
In summary, let's give a big hat tip to Barry Healy for pushing these issues toward me as well as fellow coaches in Canada and the United States. We're going to have ongoing monthly office hours to talk about insurance and various issues. And we'll have a primer course as well to get people up to speed on some of the more complicated issues. But hey, we're not giving legal advice, but it'll be called CYA. So sign up for the podcast, sign up for the course and the email so you're in the loop. See the show notes for links.